Hey everybody, Tech the Fun Guy here. We're back with another tutorial. I'm gonna have to break this tutorial in 3 parts so that way I can, have some more time on it. So for this, we have a Bloodthirster. A Bloodthirster is a greater demon of Khorne for Warhammer 40k. So without further ado, let's get started. So for the first part of the miniature, you may notice he has really large wings. So we're gonna start off with the wings. We're gonna use a base coat of Abaddon Black. So check up the Abaddon Black like so. Okay, so basically, what we're going to do is we're going to paint in all the black details other than the wings, which is the hair, the horns, and the hooves. So, what we're going to do, I'm just going to take use my table here so I have enough room to show the camera. And this down with a little bit of water, just a little bit. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to do the insides of the wings for right now, but we're also going to do the outsides eventually. For right now, we're just going to paint the insides. So for right here, the inside of the wing, and painting all the other black details. And don't worry, we are going to paint the skin later on, so we can just paint over the black eventually. Alright, and just keep continuing this. This will require a lot of black paint, but I don't care because this is a really awesome miniature. Before I forget, we're also going to paint the claws on this. And the other part of the wound membrane as well. This will take a while. Just make sure you fill in all the gaps with this. But don't worry. Again, we're going to paint the wing holders red eventually later. Right now, we're just focusing on the black details. Alright, now for the outside of the wing, it's pretty much the same thing. We're going to load up our brush again. Send it down a little more. And for the outside of the wings, it's basically going to be the same thing. So what we're going to do on this side, let me turn it this way so you guys can see. So for the outside of the membrane, you basically have the one that goes along his back. Right here. Just try to be as thin as you can, as well as to provide a decent base coat. Go around the muscle. We're going to paint over the muscle with a red base tone so we can just cover it over with the black. And there are some hair on the Bloodthirster's arms. We are going to paint those as well, as long as the wings, as well as the hair on his back. So let's get to the back part right now. There's a skull in it, but don't worry, we're going to repaint that later. Turn this bad boy around, and he has more hair on his back like right here. So what we're going to do is this. Alright, and for the other black parts of the miniature, we're also going to paint the hooves. There's a metallic parts on these, but we're going to paint those in later, as I said. Right there, as well as the talons on the wings. And last but not least, we are also going to paint the horns on his head with this. Just take your time. Okay, now first, with the first base layers of black now done, we're now going to go with the contrast paint in order just to seal in the black a little bit more. So we're gonna use contrast paint, Black Legion. So shake out the paint like so. And basically, we're going to need a lot of this. So I got my big brush again. So what we're going to do, take some Black Legion. Move it from the palette like so, put it on our table. And this is a kind of a thick contrast paint, so we do need to thin it down a little bit. So you may be wondering what's the purpose? It's so that we have the Black Legion to go into all those recesses and paint them in later. So this is basically like what we do with the Bloodthirster. So, and now for the other part of the other side of the wings, check where you may have some white spots and then just paint those in. Especially on the inside, like so. Just be very thorough, and it'll all work out. Alright, now with the wings base coated in black, we're going to start with the highlights. So for the highlights, we're going to use a simple dry brush. For this, we're going to use one of my favorite colors, Stegodon Scale Green. So what we're going to do, check out the paint like so. Let me make sure I find my dry brush, and yes, I believe I have. Where is it? There it is. So we're going to take this brush. So we're going to take quite a bit of Stegodon Scale Green, put it on our palette or table. So what we're going to do here is going to do a dry brush. For this, as I explained before, and my light almost fell over. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to wipe off most of the paint off the brush. And little circular motions. You do not have to dry brush the inside of the wing if you don't want to. But we're definitely gonna dry brush the outside of the wings. So watch this. Paint, make sure there's no paint and barely any paint. So what we're gonna do is this. So watch this. So we're gonna highlight. See, it's very. Sorry about that. The camera cut out. So what we're gonna do, keep dry brushing the black with Stegodon Scale Green. Just continue with this on the outside of the wings. Nice circular motions. And look, that Stegodon Scale Green is basically catching up on all the black details, which is perfect. That's what we want. You can also do so for the hair, but we're going to do the hair a different color. And for the other side, just continue. Alright, now with the Stegodon Scale Green dry brush on the wings, we're now going to start off with another dry brush. This we're going to focus on the hair, the horns, the talons, and the hooves. So for this, we're going to use a medium gray or brown gray. We're going to use Skavenblight Dinge. So check out the Skavenblight Dinge like so. So what we're going to do, take some Skavenblight Dinge on this other dry brush I have. It's a pretty long one, but this is perfect. So what we're going to do, dry brush again in the same technique. Okay, not much. So what we're going to do, sort of see the hair on his arm. Let me check it out just to be sure. Perfect. So what we're going to do, watch this. Dry brush very gently. As you can see, the Skavenblight Dinge is catching on the raised areas, which is perfect. We're also going to focus on the same on all the talons, like so. Talons like so on his wings. You could paint them by hand if you want, but I just wanted to use dry brushing to get them over with. Let me make sure. A little more paint. Dry brush some more. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the hair on his back. So for the hair on his back, we're going to turn the miniature upside down for me so I can see. So what we're going to do, see, it's catching and it's highlighting at the same time. Go on the other side of the hair. You can do the hooves if you wish, or you can do line highlights on them, but that's completely fine. Either way will work. And for the horns on his head, this is where the fun part gets. Take some Skavenblight Dinge. We're going to highlight all over the horns. As you can see, it's very subtle. It's highlighting very nicely. And that's the black talons done. All right, last part. You can see the symbols on its wings, so we're going to paint those in right now. It's a red paint, so we're going to go with Flesh Terror's red. Check out the paint. So for the Flesh Terror's red, what we're going to do, we're going to take our miniature, hold it steady, and we're just going to go over these little symbols right here. So for on the bottom part of this wing right here, he has a round symbol like so. I'm going to paint this in with contrast paint, but still leave it dark enough to where it looks like it's actually part of the wing. May look out of place, but don't worry, when you paint the skin later, or the actual skin, it will be worth the effort. All right, and now for the other parts of the wings, like so, we're just going to do these coordinate symbols right here. This one goes all the way towards the wing, about right here, which is perfect. All right, just continue this part on the other side of the other parts of the wings, and it should be done. Okay, now with the corn symbols now painted on his wings, we are now going to focus on highlighting the horns and the hair a little bit more. You can also do this on the hooves if you wish, but you don't have to. So, for this, we're going to take a mix. We're going to use Skavenblight Tinge, Corax White, and Marnfang Brown. So, let's start off with the Corax White because it is the thickest paint here. So, basically, take some Corax White. It is a little blobby. So put some on the palette like so. We don't need much, just a little bit. Since this is Corax White, we do need to thin it down a little bit because it is rather thick. All right, now with that part now fine, we're going to take some Skavenblight Tinge. Do like an equal mix of each paint. So what we're going to do, and then finally some Marnfang Brown. We're going to mix this together. Have a light bony color, which is perfect. A little more white. Perfect. All right, so now some more thin down Corax White. There we go. Now it has that perfect tone that we're looking for. So it's off our brush that we mixed the brushes in. All right, now we're going to go with our smaller dry brush because for what we used earlier for the horns and hair, which is going to be perfect. We're going to use this for dry brush. Take some of this mix that we just made and just put on the palette and put on our brush. And I said we're going to dry brush it. So what we're going to do, wipe off most of the paint onto the paper towel and then dry brush it. Okay, so what we're going to do is if you look onto the horns, there's a couple of ridges on the horns like so. I'll try to bend them this way so you can see. So what we're going to do is going to catch those with the dry brush. So watch this. Just go up this way. As you can see, it's kind of catching it, but it's getting that nice little bony effect for horns that we want. So you could, of course, leave the horns black if you want to, but I'm just giving this dry brush along with the Scale of Light tinge from earlier to give it a little more extra highlight. You just continue the dry brush. Alright, and that's the horns dry brushed. Alright, now with the horns now dry brushed, this is the end of part 1 for painting a Bloodthirster. So far we did the black wings, we also did the black parts of the wings, we did the coronate symbols on his wings, as well as the hooves, the hair, and the horns as well. So this is how you can start off painting your Bloodthirster with the black details first. So and this is how you can paint the first part of your Bloodthirster. May look a little messy, but we'll finish it up in the next video. Happy painting. Bye-bye.